Now, one of the nice little projects that it seems like no matter what bike I have, this is always a project. There's always something that comes in pretty well chewed up. This is the muffler from the 750. And if you look at it close, obviously it's got a weld, it's got dents, it's got this you don't see, it's up against the frame. But a lot of this pitting and stuff is really a shame because this is an expensive part. So what I'd like to do is restore it or clean it up as much as possible. Now, one of the things I can do when I'm actually polishing it, the rivets are all rusty, they're steel rivets. It's in pretty rough shape. But the first thing I want to see is every kind of aluminum seems to clean up differently. The softer aluminums, so I do a little test with Brillo, SOS Brillo. Let's see if that gets off most of the grunge, and I wanted to just show this. A lot of people are looking, you know, you don't have to take this off the bike, but it makes it a lot easier because right now it's snowing outside, so I figured it'd be a lot more fun working inside here with a nice cup of coffee. Now, soft aluminum, what happens is let's go backwards a little bit. Once aluminum is anodized, that's a hard coating. So a hard coating on aluminum, you gotta polish off the coating before you're really going to take care of any polishing. But I'd like this to look as polished, and I don't want it to look like chrome. I want it to look like polished aluminum. There's a gigantic difference, at least to me there is. Now, once I get this is really just a test to see if the aluminum is polishing up. Now let's see if we can look up, because this is going to leave scratches. So let me see if I can get this here. Here's what we're starting with, and it's really pretty well chewed up. These are all little dents and divots and dings, and what happens over here, let me clean this up. The SOS will get it, or Brillo will bring it up to a certain level. Once I have that level, and it's usually got scratches in it then, the next step for me is get some 2000 grit, and I may try some spots on 2500. Now notice what I'm doing, I'm just doing the back of the muffler. When I get this all done, I'll have my technique down pat. I'll know how this aluminum is polishing up. Now the 2000 grit will usually get rid of any of the Brillo scratches. Most, all, maybe. And again, because it's a snowy day, not like I'm losing a day at the beach here or anything. Now when scratches are deeper, when they go beyond this, then what I try to do is take, an example would be some 600 paper, put all the scratches this way, 1200 paper this way, 1500, 2000. And what it'll do, it makes little square boxes that polish up relatively easily. Now, let's just get this cleaned up here. But this is one of the parts we're going to see. Now, when I bought the bike, I knew I'd have a lot of polishing. Just get some of this off. I knew I'd have a lot of work ahead of me, but I didn't know how much. Now, from looking at this, now I've got it pretty well. I've got most of the scratches out, most of these little divots and dings. Now I can go back to the Brillo. This will get rid of even more of them. Now, of course, if I wasn't limited by the demo, and I don't think everybody knows exactly how this works, well, what happens is some people have a nice, beautiful muffler like this, and they don't do any maintenance on it. In a couple of years, in a very short time, it gets pretty ratty. Now you can see the difference because we've got some of the scratches out. You got the scratches out. It's still wet, so you really don't see it, but I'm hoping you can. I always like to do this little demo. Get a clean rag. And once I see that I've got almost all of these scratches out, and of course if we were not limited by time, if you wanted to sit and watch this, I will do one piece at a time. And probably I'm going to guess a part like this is going to take an hour, maybe a little bit longer. Now, but here's the thing that's always important to try to get a grip on. This is the polish that works on paint. Obviously it works on aluminum too, but there's always a test. And the test is we have some finer grit polish. Well, I'll change this out. And what I did, I have the final thing. I have my pad with the fur on it. Now the good thing about this is you can basically talk to somebody. You can sit and make coffee or whatever. A lot easier to do it in a heated cellar than it is in a. It was so cold in the garage the other day. The simple green was freezing. Now I put way more polish on here than I really need, but just to show how this is going to work. It looks like we're eating up one of these $15 buffers here. For $15, I'm not going to just, I'm sure this is still under warranty. Yeah, what's happening now, and this is a good thing, once you lose this, you lose the brushes. So Lauren burned out my first one. It'll still work, you just can't lean on it. Luckily I have another one outside. But I think for our purposes, well, you're going to get to see this one way or another. Now, here's the greatest thing when you burn out a buffer. You put that over there. This will only take a second. Don't go away mad. If all else fails, when you buy a $15 buffer, the brushes seem to wear out. That's good that we showed that too, although we do use the tools a lot. This is a more heavy-duty one. This one was about $50. It's going to do the same thing. It's not going to be any different. They have different pads, but for our purposes right now, it won't really matter. Now, I was remembering the day Lauren burned one out doing her Ducati, and I said, whoa. Well, this is a little noisy, but you get 2 buffers for the price of one here, that's all. Now, because this is a variable speed, I can up the speed. Now, I'm sure you get the idea. This is not a car restoration show or anything, but wait. Here was my whole point, and the whole reason for doing this was not to show that this part will get real shiny. We know it will. But you can take something that's in pretty rough shape and you can make it real nice in a relatively short time. Relatively short. You can use heavy-duty buffer, $15 buffer. If you're really bored, you can do it by hand. And in fact, just to make this, this is like, I don't know if it's old school or what. But the whole idea of things not to do is when you have this, all this grit and grease, you don't want to start buffing. It's just going to make more scratches in the part. You grind all that stuff in. Now, if you really didn't want to use your $15 buffer, you can use your $15 arm. Now, if I could only train Miles to do this, wow, this would be really nice. But anyway, the next time you see this part off video, it's going to be, I hope, looking pretty good and back on the bike, back on Elvis. And I know I've had several people ask me why I call the bike Elvis. I don't know. We always had a joke that when somebody buys a new bike and they actually get it into their house, they say Elvis is in the house. So I guess that's stuck like glue at Luciano or somebody. I don't know. Anyway, microfibers. In a matter of an hour, I'm guessing, maybe a little longer, a little shorter. We're hopefully going to have that whole part look like that, which I guess looks pretty good. But there's a lot of, you don't want to go and just grind that in, that's for sure. You want to take care of it, Brillo it out first. I think that's a pretty good tip. That's one you can put in the bank.